and welcome back to the Glen Alex Show. I am your host, Glen Alex. Each episode of the Glen Alex Show focuses on a different aspect of health because you are a whole and all of you matter. And I believe in the whole person. I'm also on a mission to help as many people as I can be joyful, connected, confident, and complete the life experience we call wealth, WELLTH, which is health plus other riches. I want that to sink in for a moment, because if the majority of us were living in total health or even in pursuit of total health, then we could eliminate isms, we could eliminate wars, and make this world safe and loving for everyone. So I hope you join us on this path toward living in total health. And I am super excited about this episode of the Glen Alex Show because it's about the magic of magnesium. And I am expecting to learn quite a bit, and I hope you will too. Please help me welcome Natalie Jurado to the Glen Alex Show. Hi, Natalie.
Hello, and thank you so much for having me on today. I am so excited to talk about my absolute favorite topic, magnesium.
Well, I love your passion and your enthusiasm for this topic, and thank you for making time.
Absolutely.
Okay, well, let's just get right to it and just take a minute and tell us who you are and what you do.
Sure. So I have become completely and utterly obsessed with this mineral because it made such a huge difference in my life. And now I go around doing educational speeches and talking and traveling all over the state of Florida to educate people about this incredible mineral. And it all stemmed from an issue, like most problems, it always stems from an issue that I was going through.
Okay. And so how long have you been doing this work?
I've been doing this approximately 8 years.
8 years. Okay, that's a significant amount of time. Okay.
Yes,
And, and
absolutely.
and you're right, a lot of the work that we do individually stems from our own personal experiences. So tell us what brought you to magnesium.
Sure. So it wasn't all that long ago. I mean, 8 years isn't too long. That I spent most of my days constantly anxious and stressed out. I was overwhelmed all the time. I was dealing with panic attacks and insomnia, and I was doing everything that they tell you you should do. I was checking all the boxes and eating a healthy diet filled with lots of organic fruits and vegetables, and I was exercising and I was using really healthy products, but I was still dealing with these issues. And I did what any normal person would do. I went to my doctor, and she was so gracious, and she offered me all these tests and referred me out to so many specialists. But when it was all said and done, she sat me down, she looked me right in the face, and she said, "Natalie, there's nothing wrong with you. Your labs are all normal. It's all in your head." And so she gave me a bunch of anxiety medication and depression medication, and every time I took them I felt 10 times worse. So I
Okay.
knew I knew there was something going on. I knew that her definition of normal wasn't the same as my definition of normal.
Right.
So that kind of jump started this journey to figure out what was wrong with me. And I went to nutritionists and alternative medicine practitioners and every specialist under the sun, and I wasn't getting much answers. It wasn't until one day when I was at work, somebody said, have you tried magnesium on your skin? And at that point, I would have stood upside down on my head and sang the alphabet if you told me it would help me sleep at night. So I tried it, and it worked. I went from sleeping 2 hours a night to sleeping 6 hours a night within a week. My anxiety started to go away. I didn't have a panic attack that whole week. And I thought, there's something with this mineral. I need to find out more. And that jump started this journey.
Okay. Wow. That's a great story. And what I really love about the story, not only is it led you to be healthier, it's an example to me about people personalizing their own path to health. I totally advocate for people to do their own research, to ask a lot of questions, to take the information and see what resonates with them, what fits, and throw away that which doesn't. And
Oh,
it
I
sounds
love
like
that.
that's what you did, and it was very helpful for you.
Yes, I love that. Throw away that which doesn't. I love that. That's definitely resonating with me today.
Okay.
Yeah. The two things that I learned in my journey was one is that you have to be your own advocate. You've got
Mhm.
to take your health into your own hands because you know your body better than anybody else.
Yes.
And then the second thing that I learned that just really kind of was just I call it the divine tap on the shoulder. Like it was just so eye-opening for me is that my version of normal doesn't have to be the same version as somebody else. We all
Exactly.
have different versions of what we consider normal. So for me, normal is having energy all day long. For me, normal is, being able to go for a run. That might be not be the same as somebody else's, but it's all okay to have different normals.
Absolutely. Okay, so I like that divine tap on the shoulder. I think the question becomes, are we paying attention to it? And most
Yes.
times it's not. So, uh, tell us why magnesium is so important.
Absolutely. So, magnesium is involved in over 700 different biochemical reactions in your body, and it's present in every single one of the trillions of cells that we have. Without it, we would cease to exist. It is that important.
Wow.
And it's responsible for so many different functions, energy production. It helps with regulating your insulin, it helps with relaxing your muscles, it's involved in nerve conduction. So it's just so important to our bodies.
Okay. I would love to go over all 700 with you, though that might take a while. So, are the systems that you just named the top five that magnesium helps with?
I think it's the top five that we notice that when they are out of balance.
Okay.
So, oftentimes, when you are low in magnesium, it'll start to show up as headaches and migraines, insomnia, anxiety, muscle cramping, restless legs, depression, hormonal imbalance. That twitch that we get in our muscles, whether it's on your eye or your legs kind of twitching at nighttime, all of that can tie back to low magnesium. So they're all kind of red
Okay.
flags that, hey, my body needs a little more magnesium right now.
Okay, interesting, interesting. So, talk a little bit about how magnesium impacts mental health. You mentioned being anxious and having panic attacks. Anxiety is the number one mental health condition among American adults. Depression is number two, not the scary stuff that the media likes to portray. So, can you talk about that connection?
Absolutely. I'm a big science nerd, so I love to kind of jump into research and jump into science. So magnesium does something really important in our bodies that serves our mental health. It activates the parasympathetic nervous system. So the parasympathetic nervous system is the calm down, relax, kind of chill out kind of system. The sympathetic is the go, 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 get stuff done kind of system. And we need both. We absolutely have to have both to function. Unfortunately, the way our culture is, the way society is set up, we oftentimes get stuck in sympathetic mode. So when it's time to wind down and relax and de-stress in the evenings, so many of us struggle with that. Another important thing that magnesium does is it lowers cortisol levels. So cortisol is your stress hormone.
Okay.
Cortisol is super important. It's a really important hormone for us to have because it does keep us going and it keeps us aware when there's danger around us. We need that. But unfortunately, because of the way life is nowadays, we oftentimes get stuck with high cortisol and we feel anxious constantly because of that. So magnesium helps kind of get that cortisol to calm down a little bit so that we can
Okay.
function a little bit easier. And between those two, it really can impact how we perceive and feel stress and anxiety.
Okay. And how does that does magnesium play a part in endorphins, the production of endorphins?
I haven't done enough research on that, so that is a
Okay.
fabulous question. But you just spurred something, and a huge light bulb just went off in my brain. That yeah, I need to look into this. That is a
Okay.
wonderful question.
I thought thank you. I thought yeah, I saw something just a blurb about that in the little bit of research I've done in preparing for your appearance. So mental health is just we know it's a big deal these days. People are paying more attention to it and is not just about what we think and our emotional health, it also ties into our physiology, how our bodies function. So if magnesium is that significant, then we definitely need to pay more attention to it.
Absolutely. And I don't want to, mislead anybody. Anxiety and depression can come from so many different sources. It
Hmm.
can come from trauma that we faced. It can come from deficiency in vitamin D, deficiency in several of your B vitamins. So it could come from, believe it or not, from an unhealthy gut as well.
Hmm.
Like if your gut microbiome is imbalanced, it can absolutely trigger things like anxiety. But I think the reason I like to talk about magnesium is because out of all of the amazing different, things that our body does, we look into so much research on all these other factors that I don't think that a lot of the healthcare industry is focused enough on magnesium. So I think it's often overlooked, and it's such an easy and simple fix. So it's one of those things that, hey, try magnesium first, see if that works. And if it doesn't, then let's look into some other stuff. But
Yes.
it's such an easy fix.
Yeah, and I agree with that. As a clinical social worker, I, on a regular basis, will recommend that my clients get physicals to rule out the physical medical component that it could be contributing to their mental health struggles. So if magnesium is not harmful, it absolutely makes sense to have it the first line of treatment.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay, awesome, awesome. So what are some signs of magnesium deficiency?
So oftentimes we'll start to feel run down and fatigued. We will start to get those leg cramps, especially in the middle of the night. Oftentimes I hear about people are like, oh, my leg cramped up in the middle of the night, kept me up all night. We'll have racing thoughts, especially in the evening when we're trying to fall asleep. Our brain just doesn't know how to shut down. It can manifest itself as stress that just doesn't go away and doesn't have a cause associated with it. It's
Okay.
normal to feel stressed, but it's not normal to feel stressed 24/7,
Right, right.
So, and of course, chronic headaches, a regular headache every once in a while is totally normal. But headaches that you just can't figure out what's causing that headache, and it just feels like you're constantly getting them, all of that can be tracked back to low magnesium. And it's funny because there's this amazing researcher and doctor. Her name is Dr. Carolyn Dean, and she wrote this beautiful book called The Magnesium Miracle. And she's quoted as saying that low magnesium can be tied to about 85% of doctors' visits in the United States. Now, I
Holy
think
moly.
that's very bold. I think that is an incredibly bold statement. But I do feel like there's some kind of truth to so many doctors' visits. How often do we go in saying, I've got this inflammation in my hands. My hands are really hurting. And we find out that magnesium is a powerful anti-inflammatory, or, we hear things like, oh, like in my circumstance, I'm really stressed and I can't stop being so anxious. Well, that's tied to low magnesium too.
Okay, okay. Now you mentioned headaches and blood sugar regulation. What are some other conditions that magnesium plays a part in?
So magnesium has been tied to diabetes, so blood sugar, like you were saying. You're with especially type 2 diabetes, your body produces insulin. It's just not enough to meet your body's needs, and that's called insulin resistance. So
Okay.
studies show that insulin receptors need magnesium to work properly and
Mm,
to respond adequately to insulin.
okay.
So it's also really, really important to understand the relationship between magnesium and sugar. The more sugar we eat, the more magnesium we're going to burn. So for every 1 molecule of sugar, you need 54 molecules of magnesium to balance that out.
Wow.
So we know that, sugar takes that magnesium out of our system. And now we also know that we need magnesium to balance insulin. So you have this really interesting cyclical issue going on
Okay.
when it comes to magnesium and blood sugar.
Okay. Wow, let that sink in for a second. Okay. Well, what other foods or beverages deplete magnesium?
So when it comes to magnesium, it's so important to get enough into our system, of course, by eating a good balanced diet that's rich in high magnesium foods. Things like leafy greens and your nuts and your seeds, those are all, even dark chocolate, they're all wonderful sources of magnesium. I'm a big fan of the dark chocolate as
Me
well.
too.
So, yeah, it's really important to get enough magnesium into our system, but it's equally as important to be aware of what's causing us to burn through our magnesium stores. So, things like sugar and alcohol and caffeine in particular, alcohol and caffeine are both diuretics. So, they're going to make the magnesium come out of your system, typically by urinating it out.
Okay.
Um, Also, things like excessive exercise. Now, in no way, shape, or form am I saying don't go exercise. Please don't get me wrong. But
Excessive.
excessive and exercising, if like I live in Florida, so exercising outside in the sun, it's wonderful for your body to get a lot of sunlight, but it also makes you sweat, and the more you sweat, the more you deplete your electrolytes such as magnesium. So you just need to be aware that you need to replenish your electrolytes after spending time sweating.
Okay. Again, we come back to balance, a balanced lifestyle.
Absolutely.
Okay. Okay. So, are there any other common foods that people consume that deplete magnesium, that pull magnesium out of the body?
There is some research showing that many processed foods, the stuff that they tell you not to eat, all that stuff, but I haven't seen enough hard evidence to show what is happening in the processed foods that makes us deplete our magnesium. So I want to see further research on that.
Oh, okay. Okay. Now, for people who have food allergies or food sensitivities, um, are high quality supplements a good way to get magnesium in the body if they can't consume the foods that are rich in magnesium?
Absolutely. So supplementing is something that is generally recognized as safe for most people. Of course, before starting any supplement program, you need to meet with your healthcare provider, your nutritionist, your naturopath, or whomever you're working with to make sure it's okay for your unique special body.
Okay.
But generally speaking, magnesium is a mineral. It's not a drug. So there's no worries as to, it doing extensive harm to your body or anything like that. Um, there are several different ways to supplement. And I think this is what trips people up the most, because they go to the health food store and they see this aisle of like every kind of magnesium under the sun, and they get overwhelmed. They don't know what to choose. And then they're like, forget it, I'm not doing this. So there are 11 different types of magnesium. And most of them are in oral pills. So I'll just kind of go over the most popular ones, the ones that you're going to see at the health food store, just so that you feel armed with some great information.
Hey, before you do that,
Yeah,
I'm not sure about the naming names.
of,
So
of, of,
of
of
of the
types.
brands.
Oh, no, not the brands.
Oh,
I'm just
okay,
going to
okay.
go over
The types.
just over
Okay.
absolutely. No, no, no. No, I won't be naming any brands. I'm just naming the different types of magnesium so
Okay,
that you'll
okay.
know what to look for when you start to research magnesium for yourself.
Oh, okay.
So, magnesium glycinate, that one is typically often used by people to help them fall asleep at night. It's very well absorbed, and it's generally a very affordable type of magnesium out there. Magnesium malate is another really popular one, and people tend to use that during the day because it tends to work particularly well for fatigue and muscle spasm.
Okay.
Magnesium threonate has been very well studied. It's one of the few types of magnesium that will cross the blood-brain barrier. So people typically will use that for mental fatigue and mental fog. So those three are just really great
Okay.
types of magnesium that you'll find at the health food store that are all very well absorbed, that are less likely to cause stomach upset and digestive problems as well.
Okay. Okay. Very cool. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Now speaking of digestive problems, how does magnesium assist in digestion?
So magnesium, particularly magnesium citrate, And that one tends to be used most often for digestive issues, because while it does do a good job of absorbing into your body, it does help pull more liquid into the digestive system. So it does help if you tend to be constipated or have irregular bowel movements, that type of thing.
Okay.
Magnesium citrate is a wonderful option that's safe. It's a lot safer than taking stool softeners and that type of thing. So
Okay.
citrate tends to be a really good option for that.
Okay, fantastic, fantastic. Now, I had read something about magnesium being important to the heart and the cardiovascular system. Specifically, how does it help or hinder blood pressure?
Sure. So magnesium, particularly for the heart, for the cardiovascular system, um, magnesium and calcium do this beautiful dance together, right? So it takes calcium to tighten our heart, and it takes magnesium to relax our heart.
Okay.
So magnesium relaxes our muscles, calcium tightens our muscles. So when your heart is beating, it's this beautiful dance between calcium and magnesium. So magnesium works beautifully to kind of cause our muscles to relax. It's kind of just a muscle relaxant almost.
Okay.
And so because it does such a good job of doing that, it really helps in terms of blood pressure as well.
Okay. Wow, that was a very clear explanation. I don't
You
always get scientific ease, but that was pretty good. Thank you.
awesome.
Now we've talked about the magnificence of magnesium and the benefits to multiple systems. What conditions are contraindicated for magnesium?
So, the conditions that you most want to focus on when it comes to magnesium is anything to do with the kidneys. So, if you have kidney disease or kidneys that are not functioning properly, or if you're dealing with any kind of kidney issues, then you want to steer clear of magnesium without doctor's orders. So, of course, if your doctor tells you to take it, that's between you and them. But generally speaking, people who have kidney issues should stay away from it, because our body has this beautiful fail-safe mechanism when it comes to magnesium. If you take too much all at once, your body will process it and get rid of it through your digestive system. Unfortunately, this can cause stomach upset and diarrhea, but ultimately, you're safe.
Okay.
Unfortunately, people who have kidney issues are unable to process excess magnesium, and puts them at a higher risk for overdosing on it.
Okay. Wow. So that's really good to know that you can't really take too much, because if you don't have kidney disease, then the body will eliminate it or
Absolutely.
wow, that's pretty
Yeah.
good. Thank
It's
you.
yeah, it's very similar to I always liken it to vitamin C. Like, we don't worry about taking too much vitamin C, because if you've taken too much, it'll just go out the other end.
Right.
And magnesium does the same thing.
Okay. Okay. Very cool. Okay. So I get regular physicals, I get regular labs, blood work, yet magnesium is not stored in the blood, correct?
Correct, correct.
So the tests I've been taking for that are inaccurate. How
Yes.
do you test for magnesium
So
properly?
oftentimes when you go to your physician and they'll do a magnesium serum test, that's your standard test that's covered by insurance. That's generally very, very inexpensive. Unfortunately, less than 1% of your magnesium is stored in your blood.
Mm.
About 60% is in your bones, and about 40% is in your muscles. So looking at the blood using just a serum test is not as accurate. Although if your blood serum is low for magnesium, then you are very, very low,
Okay.
because your body will pull anything it needs from your bones and your muscles to make up for that magnesium deficit. So if there's very little in your blood, then it is definitely very, very, very low. So it'll give you a sign of severe deficiency, but it won't give you a sign of everyday walking around chronic deficiency. So
Okay.
a better test is called the magnesium RBC test. Generally speaking, doctors can order that, and it tends to be, some insurance companies will, some won't cover it. But if you order it directly without going through insurance, most of the time it's only like $20 to $30 for the
Okay.
test. So it's not a very expensive test at all.
Okay. And then that'll tell you what your levels are in the bones and in the muscles.
Well, what it does is it looks directly at your red blood cells. It gives you a
Okay.
better idea. So it gives you just a fuller picture of what's actually happening.
Okay.
the only way to accurately truly test is to, go into the bones, but that would be very uncomfortable for
Oh,
most of us. So
we're not doing that.
no, no.
No, thank you. Okay, wow. Um, that's a lot. That is a lot. And I had actually read something, I have digestive conditions, so I've been doing a lot of research over the last few years trying to learn gut stuff. And I had come across an article that dietitians say that magnesium is the most deficient mineral in the human body. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, yeah. The National Institute of Health has reported that upwards of 70% of people are not getting enough magnesium in their diet every single day. So when we think about that, that's 7 out of 10 people who fail to get enough magnesium daily. That is huge. That is a big, big deal.
That is a big deal, especially since our healthcare system is overwhelmed and
Yes,
underperforming. And because mental health is such a big issue, it always has been, but now there's more attention to it. So I would think that there would be more attention to appropriate treatments.
absolutely. Diet and lifestyle is one of those things that can make such a big, big difference. And for the most part, it's not a hard or expensive fix to improve your diet and lifestyle. So it's one of those things that I would love to see in the future, our healthcare system making more of an effort to support educating the public about proper diet and lifestyle tactics that they can take.
Okay. Yeah, I hope so too. And from your work and hopefully from viewers of this episode, um, people will start to ask the right questions of the healthcare system and their personal medical providers. So let's keep pushing this forward.
Absolutely.
Okay. Wow. That is a lot of information. It makes so much sense to me. And when we're done, I'm going to look at some things that I can do to make sure I have enough magnesium. Test forward number one, and then whatever appropriate changes I can make. So, is there something else you want us to know about magnesium, or do you have a one takeaway or nugget you want viewers to have?
Yeah. So I often get people ask, what's the quickest way that I can raise my magnesium levels? What can I do to test to see if they're low without having to go, get lots of tests done and wait for the results? And I always tell people about this is like kind of a grandma's old recipe, right? It's to take 2 cups of Epsom salt. Epsom salt is pure magnesium sulfate, and Epsom
Okay.
salt's available at every grocery store for like less than $5. So I like to tell people take an Epsom salt bath. Take 2 cups, that I put in a tub, soak for 20 minutes. And if you feel better, if you sleep better that night, if you feel less stressed out, then you know you're onto something when it comes to magnesium. It might just be magnesium deficiency that's causing it. And then you can continue to take Epsom salt baths and see how you feel and see if your symptoms improve. So it's a quick kind of fast way to get magnesium into your body without going to the health store and buying a bunch of
Right.
pills and that type of thing.
That is super simple and very inexpensive. I'm just visualizing a foot soak right now.
Absolutely. I love foot soaks. Those are great.
All right. Well, thank you so much for that. Now, tell us more specifically about your work, because I know you have products that are ways to get magnesium into the body. Tell us about
Absolutely.
those.
So I created a line of magnesium infused creams. So it's kind of like taking an Epsom salt bath, but you can just take it with you everywhere you go, and you don't have to soak in the tub. So it's a quick and easy way to increase or to boost your magnesium levels. And it's safe and it's effective, and it's very, very gentle in your system because it's virtually impossible to overdose on magnesium through your skin. Your skin
Okay.
will allow you to absorb what you need when you need it without taking in too much. So I also like to compare it to soaking in the ocean. The ocean is about 35% magnesium chloride. And we don't worry about overdosing on magnesium when we're swimming in the ocean.
No, you don't.
So and so often after you go for a good swim in the ocean, you often feel calm, relaxed, you're not getting leg cramps. And I like to attribute a lot of that to the magnesium in the ocean and the vitamin D we get from the sun from being outside.
Okay.
So I created this line of magnesium creams. I created one called Rest, which helps with sleep, one called Tranquility, which was formulated to help with stress, and one called Relief, which helps with muscle tension and aches and pains. And we launched about a year and a half ago, and the response has been absolutely amazing. We sold out 6 times last year, so it's been yeah, it's been really exciting and wonderful, and the feedback has been incredible. I created this cream because there wasn't anything else on the market that was providing enough magnesium as well as being a good, clean product without parabens and synthetic fragrances and that kind of thing. So it was a
Okay.
good, healthy option.
Okay, that's awesome. And congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. So what's your website so people can go and check out the products and learn more about your work?
Sure. So the website is berootedin.com, and I can be found across all social media platforms, TikTok and Facebook and Instagram at berootedin.com. I also answer questions. So if you have questions, if you're like, hey, can you follow up and give me a little bit more information about this? I am so happy to help and reach out with any questions that you might have.
Okay. And Natalie also has a cheat sheet, a complimentary ebook. So reach out to her so you can get the link to download it, and that'll hopefully start your own research in how magnesium can benefit you. So thank you for that. Okay. Well, there's so much to cover. There's so much to absorb, no pun intended. But I realize that we don't have all day. So I just want to thank you so much for your time, your energy, and what you're doing to help other people be healthier in what sounds like a super simple way.
Oh,
And
well,
I
thank
do
you.
appreciate that.
Thank you so much. And thank you for spreading the word about health and wellness and just being a whole and complete person. I love what you're doing, and I think so many people are benefiting from that.
Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate that. Okay, Natalie, we'll be in touch.
Take care.
Okay, you too. And thank you again for tuning in to the Glen Alex Show. I really hope you learned a lot about magnesium and are motivated and inspired to do your own research to find out how this miracle mineral can help you physically, mentally, and emotionally. And please reach out to Natalie if you have any questions and to get her ebook. So thank you again for joining us. Please feel free to like, subscribe, and share.
Refresh your spirit with a nourishing thought.
Magnesium is involved in over 300 biochemical reactions in the human body. Some say 600, others say 700. Magnesium impacts muscles, nerves, bones, blood sugar, the heart, as well as many other systems. That's why so many call it the miracle mineral. I call it a superpower. So I am going to research the best ways to measure the level of magnesium in my body because it's not stored in the blood. And I normally get blood tests. Knowing the accurate level of magnesium in my body will help me make the best health choices available to me. I encourage you to do the same. And as always, to personalize your path to health. For more on health, please visit glenalex.com and check out my book, Living in Total Health, the 2021 Indie Book Award winner for health and wellness and finalist in the Mind, Body, Spirit category. Living in Total Health is currently on sale. Then tune in to the next episode of The Glen Alex Show for more on health. And until next time, be well.